support and thank you to listen me at this time. And so let's start. As I said, I come from Italy, in the south, and I come from Sicily here in this coast in front of the sea. I have a new office, and if you have a chance to come in Sicily, call me and visit me in the new office. We growing up, we start the office, the first one, 2004, and we were 6. Then we growing and growing and now we are almost 20. And as I said, we have a bigger office with 4 chairs, private room, I mean. But the one that I like the best is the theater where I create keys. Where I have 3 chairs in one theater. So let's go to basics. And first of all, I want to clarify what is orthodontics and orthopedics. So orthodontics is the teeth, involve teeth and obviously other process. Orthopedics, as a definition by Dr. Ricketts, is any alteration of skeletal, neuromuscular, and connective and epithelial tissue. So it's not just a movement of a skeletal bone, that's what we think, but it's an alteration of all the 3 types of the tissue. And we know the natural, that is during the growth, the usage, that is when we perform a treatment in a growing child, and the surgical. And so orthodontics makes it small, but amazing. Look this. We can affect all the maxilla and the mandible here. And as you can see in this patient, without the teeth, you can see the contribution that the teeth and the alveolar process give to the face. So we perform a unique mission for the patient. And to me, the answers for the orthodontic needs are in the bioreactive science that was invented by Ricketts back in the 50s. And the bioreactive science is not a specific technique. It's a combination of various modalities used in a logical sequence. Everybody uses liners or brackets and wires. Wise technique, and so the concern is not with the type of the bracket or the aligner employed, but how it is be used, where it is applied, or what is to precede it, and the differences in the objective deemed possible. So in orthodontics, dealing with biological variation, there are few laws that can be applied. The bioaggressive approach is characterized by the application of the principles. A principle is general truth that is most often trustworthy, but not without example. And back in the 60s, Dr. Ricketts listed the 30 principles. And we'll cover just a few in this short lecture. but the most important is the principle number 1. It's love your patient, follow the truth, and maintain the peace. Just if you love your patient, you can do the truly best for the patient. When we go to the office, we are very happy to go to see patients. We love kids and we love our patients. This is the first principle. The second is determine the components of the malocclusion. And this is a composite that means that it's not just one patient, but it's 40 patients, and that class 1 at age of 8. And if we compare with these 34 patients at the same age, class 2 high convexity, we can see and we can underline the components of the malocclusion by the superimposition of these two composites. So, first of all, the posterior cranial base is longer in class 2. Doesn't work. Okay? The anterior crest base is longer. So it means that maxilla is forward and the mandible is backward. This is a component. The chin is backward in class 2, about 2 degrees, and it's incredible. My mandible is longer and bended backward in class 2. It's a compensation. But the main difference is the upper jaw position. The upper incisors are more protruded in class 2, lower incisors are more recluded, so we have a large overjet, and the lower molars are more distal in class 2. And we recently added 2 other components that Rick described, but he never listed. But Sato emphasized in the last 30 years that the upper molars are less erupted in class 2, and the lower molars are more erupted in class 2. So this is from Sato, and you can see that this is the normal growth that we call class 1. I call normal growth. And you can see that here there is there are no development of the occlusal plane. There are no enough eruption on the upper molars. And so, according to Sato, this is one of the causes of the rotation of the mandible downward the path. On the opposite, we have an over-eruption of the upper molars in class 3. And so we have an anterior rotation on the mandible and a flat occlusal plane in class 3 and a steepened occlusal plane in class 2. But to me, this is a component that we call the occlusal plane. So the occlusal plane is a factor, as the speaker that talked before me explained very well, but it's not all. So obviously, Sato just in a circle he described that the switching out of the third molars and the changing of the occlusal plane can affect all the bones, and so it's not just the mandible, but it's all the complex, the maxillofacial complex affected. So in the therapy, we want rotate, that is unlock the malocclusion, they keep it unlocked. And so the evidence base class 2 therapy is lower the occlusal plane. So maintain low the lower molars. Obviously the opposite in class 3, you can extrude a little bit the lower molars in order to rotate a little bit the mandible downward without any compression of the condyle, or be careful about the compression of the condyle that it can occur when you rotate it too much. So we avoid the intrusion of the upper molars, and we avoid the extrusion of the lower molars in class 2. And Ricketts described this back in 1952, and he said, I don't know why, but when we maintain the occlusal plane low, below the side point, the mandible goes forward. I don't know why. It was back in 52. He was 32 years old. Then he described this, because Schudy, Crickmore, many others start to say that with the cervical headgear, with the extrusion of the upper molars, you may see the wedge effect. So all the profession start to intrude the upper molars in the oligofascia. Even Ricketts, and he said, after he did his homework and his research, and I suggest to read this one, the published under orthodontics, that is free access, back in 1959. He said, I don't know if I was the first that I started to use the high pull headgear, but I know that I'm the first one that I stopped to use, because when you intrude the upper molars, you will compress the condyle. That you can affect the occlusal plane, and so you will cause a posterior rotation of the mandible that is not recommended in class 2. So there are many articles that support this theory, and many, and also this is from the University of Illinois, published about Zerbas and Nelson Opperman and Flavio Sanchez and Judy Guznodo, friend of mine there, and he compared the cervical versus high-pull headgear, and the cervical headgear showed more control over the vertical dimension and produce more further change in mandibular rotation. And this is me back in 2017 with the group at the University of Insubra, where I taught bioaggressive, and we compare cervical versus control, and same result. There was a significant increase, of the rotation of the mandible forward, but the vertical dimension didn't affect in a bad way with the cervical. And then we focused on the occlusal plane. Same result. The upper molars showed the extrusion to the palatal plane. There was a significant forward rotation of the mandible. The vertical dimension was not significantly modified. And then we compared the effect of the cervical headgear plus the utility arches versus the control and the cervical headgear treated alone, treated just with the cervical headgear. And we saw, that the treatment with the cervical headgear is more effective in the control of occlusal plane. But the only reason, because we use the occlusive arch on the lower, is just to intrude the lower incisors and prevent the anterior interferences. Then we asked Nelson to study the group that they treated with the eyeball headgear, and so we compare the effect of the cervical headgear with the effect of the eyeball headgear versus the control. And same result in patient with the eye hand, in dolichofacial patients. And the cervical headgear seems to be preferred in the correction of maximum protrusion, molar relationship, and increasing the anterofacial area without any protection. And this was my PhD thesis. I compared with many patients, and you can see at that time I didn't study SADO, but I was very, very impressed about the effect on the occlusal plane. Look here, and Nelson doesn't want that we call intrusion, so we can call control, because we can control the eruption of the. We can intrude also, I know, but we can control the eruption with this therapy, with the cervical headgear in the upper, without any appliances in the lower. We can control the eruption of the lower body. And look, same back, as I said, backs in 1952, Ricketts, when the condyle grows upward forward, the chin goes forward. But when the condyle goes upward and backward, the chin goes downward and backward. And Bjork did the same research. He didn't mention Ricketts in his paper, but if you see the pictures are the same result. He showed this with implants. In fact, Ricketts called this the Ricketts-Bjork theory. And then he named this as the decompression theory. Why? Because when you extrude the molars, the upward, you decompress the condyle. This is from Frustman, and you can see that you have new growth here. Growth here in the anterior part, superior and anterior part of the condyle. For this reason, we don't want to push mandible forward, because we will compress the condyle. We want to push down a little bit, little by little, very gentle, not just once. This is from one of my students, Salvatore Boccheri, and he described this effect. So first of all, the extrusion of the upper molars, the correction of the protrusion of the maxilla, and so the intrusion of the lower denture, and prevent the anterior interferences in order to decompress the condyle. In this way, the condyle can grow upward and forward, and the chin can grow downward and forward. So the challenge, if this can occur in the aftergrowth, can you apply these things from the permanent dentition? So first of all, in the growing patient, you push backward and downward the maxilla, lower the occlusal plane, promote the vertical growth of the rams, and so the mandible can adapt forward. Don't push the mandible forward, but just let can come forward. And obviously it's easy in the brachyfacial pattern, but it's not very easy in the dolichofacial pattern. Another principle number 22, proceeded in stages. Major objectives must be solved first. In this way, the secondary objectives will become easier. Therefore, the staging approach is more biological than a fixed tie-up with the straight one. What is the staging method? It's a logical sequence of the treatment. We have 4 stages, and in each stage we have 2 steps. So we start the treatment how you want, then we carry out the treatment, then we correct the intra-arch discrepancy, the inter-arch discrepancy with the segmented and the section and the mechanics, and then we reconnect everything with the optimization arch, integration and torque, and then we finish the treatment. So this is a sequence, logical sequence, not wires. So we standardize the objective, we standardize the treatment in order to individualize the best treatment, the best approach for each patient. And so the 3 key concepts in today's world are individualization, prevention, and simplicity. And individualization is the ability to adapt to the needs of special circumstances of an individual or the basic difference between individuals. Prevention is the action of stopping something from happening or arising. This is one of the key concepts in today's healthcare. Simplicity is a thing that is plain, natural, or easy to understand. Technology and information overload demands this today. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication and therefore difficult to achieve. Simplicity requires system. Keep things simple through system. And it's different, totally different from simplistic. Making something complicated seem simple by ignoring important parts of it. So I suggest to avoid the simplistic approach. Avoid people that say use this bracket, use this magic wires, or aligners, or everything, or appliances, because it is not an affair of bracket or aligners. As I said, you must understand the principle behind the approach that you want to use. This is simplistic. You remember this? Everybody has this. This is simple. Give this to a kid. My daughter that is there is 5, is very smart with that one, without any instruction. Also my son. Okay, today is a busy day. We have a lot of patients and we want to be on time for the dinner that I have tonight with my family, with Dr. Juan and Dr. Lin. Okay, let's start. Anna, come on. So she's a deep bite +2, let's say +2 division 2. She hasn't a discrepancy, she hasn't crowding, she has a lot of space. She is pretty much symmetrical, as you can say. And you can see the brachyfacial pattern. You can see the deep bite here, okay, due to the extrusion of the incisors, and the brachyfacial pattern, the occlusal plane that is very close to the side point, and the mandible is square, the face is square. So to me, this is an easy case, and I'll show you why. And the patient complained just a campus mild the misalignment of the upper front teeth, but she is, as I said, class 2 division 2 deep bite, maxillofacial with the brachy tendency, and the lower arch retrusion, the lower facial A reduction. So in green you can see our long-range forecast. In red you can see our visual treatment objective. And when we superimpose, you can see the mechanics. So we don't want to distalize the upper arch. We want to mesialize the lower arch, as you can see here. So this movement that you can see here is the natural growth. So we want to push the lower denture forward. And it's very easy, because we must unlock the malocclusion. And so we put this in the middle of the curve, because this is a case that occurs in the, say, 70%. This is the objective that we want to do. We want to unlock the malocclusion and allow the mandible to go forward, along, without any appliance. So we open the bite, we use in the upper arch, 2 by 2, in the lower arch, 2 by 4, and this is all the treatment, the factor 4 in animal. And then we align with a straight wire, and this is when we finish. Look at beautiful arches that we use it. Look the roots, symmetrical patient. She was symmetrical. Look the beautiful profile. The occlusal plane is perfect near the side point. As I said, look here, the molars came forward.